Hi, my name is Matthew Trewick, and my PowerPoint today will answer the question of whether employers should be allowed to share their workers' data. When searching through a past discussion post looking for a topic that piqued my interest, I came across our friend or foe discussion post. This discussion post presented a scenario in which a big league company was secretly selling their customer data to another company for profit. Obviously, there are many issues with this, and that got me thinking about how employers possess employees' data and what limitations are set on them regarding sharing that data. Before we can answer the question on whether employers should be able to share their workers' data, we need to look at a couple of things. First, we need to understand the current data landscape. Employers need to collect data for payroll, benefits, and safety compliance. These are all things that the employer legally needs to have when hiring employees. Things such as social security numbers and banking info are major targets for hackers committing identity fraud or stealing money. There's also the balancing act of companies trying to maximize their business interests while also making sure that employees' privacy rights are respected and that they can trust the company to keep their data safe. For example, an employer might have an employee install software that allows the company to monitor how productive the employee is when they work. Employees have to be able to trust that the employer isn't doing anything malicious with their software and that their intent is completely professional. Next are ethical considerations in the case that employers do decide to share their workers' data. They must have transparency, consent, and proportionality. Employees have a right to know both what data is collected and how it is used. This includes what data is being shared and to whom that data is being shared to. Employees must consent to having their data collected by their employers. This is typically obtained through a contract during the hiring phase. Proportionality discusses how employee data should be only shared if it's absolutely necessary for both the company's and employees' interest. There are, of course, legal boundaries related to things such as employers sharing employees' data. There are many laws such as GDPR and state-specific mandates like CCPA that dictate handling procedures of such information. Employers have a legal duty to protect sensitive files from unauthorized access. They are legally responsible and liable to compensate employees in the case that their data happens to be breached by a malicious hacker. This is because the company is responsible for providing a security infrastructure sound enough to prevent malicious hackers from accessing their data. There are many severe consequences if employers exploit the use of their employees' data. If they share their data without a legitimate business need, this can lead to defamation or discrimination lawsuits. Some instances in which it's justifiable to share employees' data is for payroll, providing benefits, and workplace emergencies. So, should employers be allowed to share their workers' data? Well, the answer is that it really just depends. Whether data sharing is acceptable or not is entirely dependent on the context, consent, and necessity of a situation. Employees' data is sensitive, and every instance of sharing it must be legally justified, ethically transparent, and technically secure. Otherwise, they'll be putting their employees and themselves at risk.